Today's training is around the perfect plate, how to use the perfect plate to drop 10 to 15 pounds by January. So if you're ready to shed fat and build muscle, particularly without complicated recipes that take forever to cook, then you're listening to the right training because this is exactly what this is about. Here at EVA, we've worked with over 460 vegans just like yourself over these past 5 years. And if you're like anything like the clients that we helped, you've been probably putting in a lot of effort with little to show for it. So you're putting in a lot of energy and effort into getting fit, but the results aren't quite matching up, and so you're starting to feel frustrated. Secondly, you probably feel a sense of overwhelm when it comes to all the information out there, right? There's a ton of conflicting information on the internet, and you probably feel what we call infobese, right? So you're fat with information, yet you wind up being confused on what to do with it. And then number three, you tend to fall off your plan when life gets busy or stressful. So the holidays are right around the corner, and more than likely, you're somebody who takes the holidays off, or you just let it all go on the holidays and you dig yourself in a rut. And then come January, now you're starting behind when if you would have got started a couple months back, you could have at least at minimum maintained. And now it kind of makes you feel bad. That's exactly the same background as our clients. So if you're there now, there's no reason to feel bad because that's exactly how we can help. And the feelings that you're feeling right now that are associated with, putting in a lot of effort, feeling overwhelmed, falling off your plan, it goes much deeper, right? It's deeper than just learning what to eat. Because if you don't fix this problem now, well then, heck, you're going to gain another 5 to 10 pounds next year. If you don't fix this now, then you're going to end up buying larger jeans and shirts next year because of it. And you'll likely feel pretty terrible about yourself and start skipping events that you get invited to that involves activity or showing skin because you don't want people to see you, or you don't want to embarrass yourself, or you don't want to hold the group up. And I share that because that's how I felt too. And that's how our clients felt. So if that's how you feel now, it's okay, right? I'm just getting real with you. You already know it. And here's what I don't want for you. I don't want you thinking that, 5 years from now that it's too late. It's too late to get started. I don't want you feeling so winded that when you walk up the stairs that you give up and then you just take the elevator, essentially making the problem worse. And I also don't want you feeling like you're the one that's holding up the group when you do activities with your friends or your family. It sucks to feel that way. That is exactly why the EVA method is so effective. Because let's be real, there is a lot of trash, a lot of garbage out there, and a lot of people claiming that if you just go vegan or if you just eat 100% whole food plant-based, you'll get fit. But that's BS. Right? Look at the statistics around that. So I believed that at first. I thought, all right, if I just eat whole food plant-based, then I'm going to be super fit and everything's going to be great. And that's what I tried when I first went vegan. I was whole food plant-based, no oil, ate very little processed foods, if any. And when I first went vegan, I actually lost weight and got skinny. So skinny that when I went home for Christmas that year, even my grandma, and I think she passed in her early 80s, so she must have been like 75-ish at that time. She's like, Scott, you got skinny. Are you eating anything? And I moved away from home, and so they hadn't seen me in a while. And I'm like, really? I kind of looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, yeah, my shirt's kind of hanging a little bit loose. And so I was like, all right, well, I got to swing the pendulum the other way. So I overcompensated. And I started eating a lot. In fact, way too much, because that actually led me to my struggle with binging. Because I went from trying to eat super healthy, whole food plant-based, realizing, okay, that's not going to work. So I need to include more food and more variety, and also some junk food because I can't eat this strict and live my life. So I swung the pendulum the other way, and it happened. Like I put on 15 pounds of body fat in 3 months. It's even embarrassing to talk about this. Like as I talk about this, I go back to that moment. I remember stepping on the scale and just being like, "Oh shit!" Like if you've ever like jumped off a cliff or like done bungee jumping and you kind of jump and you're like that, like that's the same feeling that I felt. Like, oh no, like the floor is falling out from underneath me. Like it got this bad. And this training is designed to help you, if you're there, start coming out of it. This training is designed to, if you're not there yet, prevent you from getting down that road and really help you see that if you follow a certain strategy, if you follow something that's been proven to work, right, and you actually implement it, then you can get great results with it. And it can be really simple and easy. One thing you'll notice about me when I teach is things can be simple and easy. So I want to take a quick little pause and ask you to drop in the comments, what are you hearing from what I've shared so far? What's resonating with you? What struck a chord? Maybe a specific way that you feel right now. How are you feeling right now? What are you taking away? What are you hearing? Drop that in the comment section, and we'll keep going. Get a little drink. So I got 3 points here for today's perfect plate template. And the first point here, when we talk about the perfect plate, so the perfect plate is a strategy to build a fit vegan meal. So one that's high in protein and reasonable in carbs and fats that'll help you either lose fat and or build muscle in a way that requires 0 recipes. In fact, you just need to understand the template and you'll be good. So I was looking around here and I cannot share my screen once I'm on this live video. So I'm gonna have to kind of like draw a picture of it with my hands as I share with you. So the perfect plate template, it's gonna teach you how to create a meal using 5 ingredients or less and no recipe required. And the perfect plate is important because, let's be honest, you're busy and you don't always have time to prepare a meal, especially during the middle of the day, during the week. And you may even be coming home at dinner time and have very little time because you're dealing with your kids. Maybe you have other stuff going on and you're like, I want to eat healthy, but I don't have time to like cook this whole elaborate meal. That's why I created this perfect plate template. Like eating vegan and plant-based and being fit should feel easy. It should feel easy. And here's how the perfect plate is made up. So there's a protein, a starchy carb, a non-starchy carb, and then an optional fat source. So essentially 4 pieces of the template. And if you can imagine, right, a plate, and then within that plate, those different pieces fit in. So protein and starchy carbs make up about 50% of the plate together. And then the non-starchy carbs and optional fat source make up the other 50%. So the non-starchy carb makes up about 40, the fat source about 10, if we want to get specific with those. So that's that. Imagine a plate, right? And if I'm looking down at my desk, if you're looking down at your plate and you have the different sections of food, you have your protein, you have your starchy carbs, you have your non-starchy carbs covering, almost half the plate, and then your fat source, right? Your optional fat source. And as far as how much, right, it really depends on your goals, but the easiest way to break it down is 1/4 of your plate should be protein, 1/4 of your plate should be starchy carbs, almost the full other half should be non-starchy carbs, and then again, the fat source making up that small 10%. This template makes eating so simple because all you need is 1 ingredient in each section. So I'm going to talk about starchy carbs, non-starchy carbs, and fat sources here in the next couple points. But for protein, think of protein like tofu, right? So at least 1/4 of your plate's full of tofu, of tempeh, seitan, certain vegan mock meats. Great examples of protein sources, right? TVP. And then the others are filled with the other ones, which I'll go into here in a second. So one of our clients, Sammy, she started using this when she first joined EVA, and she works 10-hour days most days of the week, so she works a lot. And she needed something really quick and easy because even outside of work, she had a lot of other things, a lot of other balls she was juggling. So we taught her how to use the perfect plate template, and just yesterday, her and I were talking. She officially weighed in at 35 pounds down since starting EVA. That's exactly why we teach this way of eating to our clients, right? It works really well for people who are busy. So with that being said, on a scale of 1 to 5, I want you to rate yourself. 5 being highest, 1 being lowest, on your ability to put together a high protein meal without a recipe. So your ability in your head to just be like, all right, I just need this, and this, and I'm good. 1 to 5, 5 being highest, 1 being lowest. Rate your ability and put it in the chat, in the comments, so that we can see, where we're at, right? We want to be accountable to where we're at. So drop your rating in the comments. 1 to 5, 5 being highest, 1 being lowest. And we'll go from there. Now, second point here is understanding the difference between starchy carbs and non-starchy carbs. And this is important to know because it's going to help you understand calorie density, because you can easily overeat and knock yourself out of a calorie deficit if you don't understand calorie density, especially in a fat loss phase. And on the flip side of that, if you are trying to gain weight, like via muscle, right? So put on muscle, then you might be under eating if you don't understand calorie density. Because what I see a mistake is a lot of vegans who want to gain weight, they're eating like salads and trying to eat like fibrous vegetables all the time. And it's like, that's healthy, but that's not going to help you build muscle. You're actually taking away from your ability to do that. So it depends on your goal. You only can have one goal at a time. You're either losing fat or building muscle. If you're curious, like, well, I want to do both, and you need to do both, right? Always lose the fat first. So fat loss always comes first. By the way, I see Rod and Pat acknowledge with their ratings. Thank you for sharing that. So let's start with starchy carbs. Here are what we call starchy carbs. That's all the carbs that taste good when we eat them, right? So oats, grains, right? So like rice, there's farro, there is, what are other grains off the top of my head to leave me right now? Quinoa, couscous. I'm sure there's more if you want to drop some more in the chat. Grains like that would be helpful, right? Bread, pasta, beans, squash, carrots, and beets. And yes, carrots and beets, even though they're colorful vegetables, they are, and squash, they are starchy carbs. So those are the starchies, all the ones that when we eat them and they hit our tongue, they taste really, really good. Now on the flip side, right, so that's about 25% of our plate. Now non-starchy carbs are, when you ever heard like eat the rainbow, that's what we're talking about, right? So we're talking about our greens, our whites, our purples, our reds, our oranges, minus the carrots and beets and the squash like I said earlier. So broccoli, cauliflower, leafy greens, peppers, onions, tomatoes, mushrooms, all foods that are high fiber, low calorie density, or low-ish calorie density. That's the stuff that's going to help fill us up on less calories, and also we're getting all of our micronutrients. And as you can probably understand now, so we've talked about protein being 25%, starchy carb being 25%, and then non-starchy carb about 40% of that plate. As you can see, you're going to be filling up on a lot of greens, on a lot of veggies. So it's going to make it much easier when you're losing body fat to stay in your calorie deficit, because now your calories are a little bit lower, right, than at maintenance, right? So your body's being forced to use its own energy, but you're not crazy hungry and starving because you're filling up on fibrous foods using calorie density. So Julie, one of our clients in EVA, came to us with a terrible relationship with food. And the reason why is because she tried every diet under the sun before joining EVA. She told me she tried like a grapefruit diet. She did Weight Watchers for a long time, and they worked when she was doing them. But anytime she stopped, they would never work outside of there. So she was like, Scotty, I need to find something that I can use the rest of my life. Like I can't just keep doing these diets and stopping and gaining the weight back. And she was so used to severely restricting her food during those weight loss programs that binging and gaining all the weight back like always happened when she was done. So she would gain all that weight back. All that effort that she put in would just go right out the window, because she felt kind of hopeless. Like, well, I don't know how to do this anyway. I don't want to keep following this. Like I want some more freedom when it comes to food. Well, we taught her how to use the perfect plate, and also she followed the EVA method. And following the EVA method along with using this template, she dropped 75 pounds with us and has kept it off since, because I'm in contact with her. I talk with her like every couple of months on Instagram. And during her time with the program, she was traveling nearly every month while she was in the program using this template. So it's perfect when you travel, right? When you don't understand, when you don't have calories available, you can just build a plate based on what you know. And this is exactly why we teach this template, to help you shed body fat, build muscle, and find a sustainable way of eating that you can look at your plate, eyeball your food, and get a sense of what you're eating. Now, we're going to go on a rating again, right? So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being highest, once again, I want you to rate yourself on your ability to, when you put meals together, your ability to understand calorie density. So if you can look at a plate and be like, all right, I'm kind of a little bit high on carbs here, or oh, this is a high protein meal and actually kind of low on carbs, right? This is actually, I may need to add some more carbs to my next meal, or wow, there's a lot of fat in this meal. I can tell because this, and this. So scale of 1 to 5, 5 being highest, 1 being lowest, your ability to be able to look at a plate and a food and understand like this is a high calorie meal or this is a lower calorie meal without knowing the calories themselves. You can drop that in the comment as well. And then last point here, right? So point 1, we talked about the perfect plate template, which is protein, starchy carb, non-starchy carb, optional fat. So just the general template and why it's important. Number 2, starchy carbs versus non-starchy carbs, right? To understand the difference between both. Starchy being basically all the ones that when they hit our tongue, we're like, oh yes, feed me more, right? Where we can eat ton of bread, right? Ton of pasta because it just tastes so good. And then non-starchy carbs, which are usually like, right, what we call the vegetables. Eat the rainbow, those types of carbs. Now we're going to speak on fat sources, which is the easiest macronutrient to overeat. People think like, yeah, like I just eat so many carbs. No, you don't. You eat so much fat. That is where you're overeating, because fat has more than double the amount of calories per gram, which in carbohydrates have 4. So carbohydrates have 9 calories per gram. Sorry, fat has 9 calories per gram. Carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram. So fat is double, which is why it's so easy to overeat. And why, if you've ever ate a high fat meal, like if you've gone out to a restaurant and the meal was covered in oil, or you ate a bunch of fried foods and afterward you're like, ugh, it's because you ate all that fat. Your body like has a shit ton of calories to break down. And you have to understand fat sources, because if you don't know how much you're consuming, it can literally add up to hundreds of calories per day. If you are not tracking your food and you have no idea how much you're consuming, your fat sources that you're eating could add up to hundreds per day. Even if it was just 200 calories per day, times 7, that's 1,400 calories a week, times 4 weeks in a month, that's what, 50 something, 5,600? That's over a pound of fat a month, times 12 months is 12 pounds a year of fat gain. And you wouldn't even know it if you didn't understand fat sources. So let's talk about it, right? Here are some examples of fat sources. Any and all nuts, all types of nuts, Brazil nuts, peanuts, walnuts, any nuts, right? Almonds. Any and all seeds, sunflower seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, any seeds. Avocados. Dressings, right? Typical salad dressings. Any oil. Coconut or coconut flakes, right? So if you like eating, why is the word leave? Like smoothie bowls, right? Or acai bowls, and you got a bunch of coconut flakes on there. There may be a ton. Usually acai bowls, they put coconut flakes, then they put chia seeds, and they put flax seeds to like make it all look pretty. And look at, I remember going, there's a restaurant here in Austin. I remember like I got it once. I was like, all right, like I could probably like scrape some of it off because it's probably gonna be more than I need. And I mean, it was caked on there. There probably had to have been like 400 calories of coconut flakes, chia seeds, and flax seeds on there of just fat and very low protein. So I was eating a high fat, high carb, low protein meal, which is the exact opposite of the meals you want to be eating. Also, nut butters. If you're a fan of peanut butter, almond butter, sunflower butter, there's this cool product called granola butter that I love eating, right? All butters are high in fat. So one of our students Catherine, she went by Katie. She joined EVA not too long ago, and she was already eating healthy, at least in her world, her vision. But she was shocked when she was realizing that she was eating like 200 to 400 calories over what she should have been eating to lose fat. She was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, I'm eating healthy. And then when she actually tracked food, she's like, oh my God, I'm eating like 200 to 400 calories over every day. And she's like, no wonder it wasn't working for me. And we taught her how to use this perfect plate template and understand calorie density and understand the different sources of food. And she dropped 20 pounds in just 4 months with us, right? It's October 11th today as I record this video. That means by February timeframe, right? 20 pounds down. Amazing. Absolutely incredible. That's why we teach this template, because it works really well. Now, same scale, 1 to 5, our last rating, 5 being highest. I want you to rate yourself how often you track your food to ensure you know exactly how much you're eating. How often you track your food, 1 to 5. 1 means I don't track at all. 5 means I track dang near daily, right? So you can use that as kind of like a reference point. Go ahead and drop that in the comments. And just as a little summary here of the 3 points we talked about for the perfect plate template and how to use it. For each protein, starchy carb, non-starchy carb, and fat, all you need is 1 ingredient. You can do more if you want, but remember, we're looking to simplify food. So an example of a perfect plate meal would be seitan, quinoa, broccoli, and avocado, right? 4 ingredients, plus some salt and some pepper. Another example could be tofu, rice, we'll do a double up here, cooked peppers and onions, and oil. There we go, right? That's technically 5 ingredients, but we're still in the template, 5 ingredients or less. And obviously seasonings, I'm not counting seasonings in this because those don't count as ingredients, at least within this template. Like, I'm assuming that you're going to season all your food, right, to taste. Another example could be, right, barbecue tempeh. So there's technically 2 ingredients, right? Barbecue sauce, 2 main ingredients, right? Barbecue sauce and tempeh. And then for our starchy carb, let's go with pasta. So I know it's kind of weird. Barbecue tempeh, pasta, and I'm just kind of off the cuff here. And then steamed cauliflower, right? The weirdest meal ever. But guess what? It works and it's macro friendly. And if you season it good, it's going to taste really good. And your fat source, some oil, right? So those are just 3 examples off the top of my head. Something you can use there with this perfect plate template, understanding you have your protein source, your starchy carb, your non-starchy carb, which makes up most of the plate, and your optional fat source. And you can use that to help you without tracking if you're not doing any tracking now, but it works really well building a plate when you are tracking because it requires very little ingredients. And if you've seen some of the testimonials on this page, maybe you've seen some of the results on our page here, you know that the transformation that you're really looking to achieve is possible, right? People who were exactly where you're at right now, where you're sitting, probably a little frustrated that you're working hard, maybe motivated and excited about what's to come, but it's like you've been trying for months, right? They've been in your shoes before and they've broken through that and gotten results, right? Like Darren, who was that? He tried every weight loss program, just like Julie, and he was very successful at them, but he would never be able to maintain them. He joined EVA. We helped him lose 90 pounds and keep it off. Another client, Yusi, she's a mom with 2 kids and she works full time. And she had her postpartum belly that she just thought would never be able to go away. She was like, I'm just stuck with this now with the 2nd kid. I have no chance. Well, we enrolled her in EVA and taught her how to use the EVA method using this perfect plate template. She's dropped 22 pounds with us and lost her tummy. And here's the thing, that only happens when you take action. And so my team and I, we've set aside some times on our calendars through this weekend and through early next week for some free one-on-one strategy calls. So here's what we do on that call together. Number 1, we'd get crystal clear on your goals and what you want to reach in the next 4 to 6 months. Number 2 is we're going to help identify what you've been struggling with to reach those goals on your own, right? What you've tried in the past, what you're struggling with currently. And then lastly, we're going to set up a game plan on how we can eliminate those struggles and finally reach your goals once and for all and permanently. So you can be like another success story, just like our clients, just like Darren, just like UC, just like Catherine. And anytime I offer these calls, they tend to fill up really, really fast because we're offering them to my other audiences as well, right? So we're offering them outside of this Facebook group. So if it's something you think you can help you, I'm gonna actually drop a link in the comments here right now of an application. So title the EVA application. And what you'll do is you'll click that link, you'll fill it out. We'll get a ping, and my team and I will review the application that you submitted. And if you qualify, we'll hop on a free call and we'll get started on your game plan. And remember here, you're watching this video, before we wrap up here, just remember, you're watching this video because you desire to accomplish something. Something you've either made a little bit of progress on and you want more, or something that you've tried but has made no progress with, and you recognize, you're starting to realize, like, yeah, you want help. You need help, right? You watch this training because you wanted to learn how to eat to get fit, and this is how it's done. And I'm also asking you to make a decision for yourself too. If things are not working, it's time to stop trying on your own. You have to be able to make that decision, just like Darren did, just like UC did, just like I did before I hired my first coach, right? You've tried doing it on your own and it doesn't work. And procrastinating for asking for help is only going to dig you into a deeper hole that you're in right now, right? All you have to do, my guess, is take a look back and see the hole that you've continued to dig yourself into. And I speak from experience for that, right? So what do you have to lose by reaching out at this point? On the flip side of it, here's what you have to gain for doing it. You can tap or click that link in the comments. My team and I, again, will review your application, and if accepted, we're going to reach out to you on Facebook or Instagram, whatever you put on there. We're going to ask you a few questions just to get more clear on what you want and see how we can help. And if we can, we'll schedule a quick call and create your game plan together. If we can't, we'd be happy to send you a free training or refer you to somebody else who can help you. So link is in the comments. Feel free to click that, and I'll see you on the next workshop. Have a good rest of your afternoon.